What else do you need to be on the lookout for when you are buying into one of these buildings?
Yeah, so I think it's really great that you've had Amanda on, and it's really important to understand what types of records are available and what rights purchasers have and owners have in relation to inspecting the records. And it's something that should really be undertaken when you're deciding to purchase into one of these properties, as I'm sure Amanda made your audience very aware, and what they need to look at and who they can engage to read these documents, interpret them, and provide good, sensible assistance and feedback to their clients. And so it is really, really important. I think what you've got to be aware of is there's lots of different tricky bits within a strata scheme, and when in terms of liability and responsibility, and liability in particular is probably the main thing, because of the collective ownership and because you are dealing with sometimes a very large scheme that costs a lot of money to run. You need to make sure that financially that has been working really well, that correct decisions have been made, and so that there's not going to be a time that will come where you will be asked to throw more money in the pot, so more additional levies, for example, a special levy may be raised, to deal with issues that may arise that there is not enough money in the account for that particular expenditure. So things come up all the time. You know, you may get, if there's a storm, you may get storm damage, and while you're waiting on perhaps insurance, or insurance might not cover a certain thing because of the type of exclusions within the policy or something like that. It'll be up to the collective ownership to make sure that the building is maintained and repaired based on whatever's happened. And so if there's not enough money in the account to pay for those perhaps repairs, then you will have to, and it's something, again, you can't just avoid. And even if you may vote no to having a special levy raised for that particular purpose, if it's the collective will, then you will be required to pay a certain amount for those repairs, for that maintenance, and what have you. And it may be that, things may crop up where there's not enough insurance, the insurance is not appropriate for the scheme. And if there is an issue that comes up where there's a liability issue that arises, again, you will be required to put your own money into the body corporate or the owner's corporation account for whatever damage that has occurred in that particular site. So you need to be aware how that scheme has been functioning, whether it's a dysfunctional scheme, whether proper decisions have been made, and those sorts of things, because ultimately there's no protections, there's no liability protections afforded to lot owners like it may be if you're a shareholder in a company. Those protections are not afforded to you in strata. And so if there's a liability that arises, unfortunately, you are going to have to come up with the money, whether you have it or not, to pay for whatever that deficit may be. So you need to make sure that you're very aware about what's going on and how the decisions are being made, so that you are not stuck at the end of the day with a large bill that you never saw coming. And again, you'll be forced to pay it. So you really need to be actively aware of what's going on, not only when you're wanting to purchase, but throughout the ownership of that particular property. You need to be invested somewhat in who's making decisions and how those decisions are being made. Strata is an expensive product to buy. It doesn't matter that the purchase price might be relatively cheap compared to a house. There are ongoing maintenance costs, ongoing insurance costs. There's so many things that you have to pay into strata that is very, very different from when you are home. And so there's those sort of financial responsibilities are ongoing, and you need to be very aware of that when you're deciding to purchase into strata.